Well, good afternoon, everybody. Alan Slaughter-Zinski for the Brevard Sports Network. And it is a pleasure to be with you today, especially for what we're going to be discussing. Rare that we ever go live, but we are live here today from the Brevard Network studios. And my guest today, I first met him, my goodness gracious, during the pandemic, coming out of the pandemic as he worked tirelessly to make sure that sports in Brevard County, he and many others, to make sure that Brevard sports in the high school level would hit the ground running at some point, putting schedules together, satisfying this athletic director, that athletic director. He did one heck of a job as the head athletic director here in Brevard County, and now he is doing a remarkable job as director of the Florida Coaches Coalition. Please help me welcome back to the Brevard Sports Network studios, Dr. Andrew Ramjit. And man, it is good to have you back on, Dr. Ramjit. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Alan. Thank you for having me on. And, like I told you before we jumped on here, man, I miss hearing that voice. Just from going to hearing it almost every day for 3 years that I was down there to, not hearing it as much. It just feels good to hear the voice, and it feels great to be able to be on today and reconnect with everyone out there in Brevard.
Listen, again, a lot of people don't know this, and I'm going to say this. When we launched Brevard Sports Network, God bless it, and I get it. We were what was going to be perceived as just the latest fly-by-night streaming service to come along, and I understood the inclination of people to believe that. But I'm here to tell you that this man understood and he knew that simply wasn't going to be the case with myself and Caleb and our crew that we had at the time. And not everybody was in favor of Brevard Sports Network coming in and streaming. And this guy went to bat for us. This gentleman made sure Brevard Sports Network was able to have what it needed in terms of the red tape to do what we do. And here we are 6 hours later. Dr. Ramjit, I don't know if I've ever thanked you for what I know you did for Brevard Sports Network. So thank you.
No, you're very welcome. And it's still true that there's no other platform in the county or even Central Florida or even the state that covers all sports. And I know football runs everything out here in Florida, but no one does a better job covering all sports than you do. And especially in Brevard County, there's no other platform that gives your soccer players, basketball, lacrosse, you name the sport. Nobody gives these kids the attention and praise that they deserve like you do. So it
Well,
was a
thank you.
pleasure doing it then, and I'm glad that you've been able to stick around here and not make too many people angry these last 6 years.
You always have my back, man. I'll never forget it. I like that. Listen, man, you're doing some big things now. Listen, 24 hours ago, 38 to nothing. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about 7 touchdowns or 5 touchdowns and a field goal. I'm talking about what happened yesterday in Tallahassee at the state legislature. Dr. Ramjit, 24 hours ago, the Florida Senate voted 38 to nothing on House Bill or Senate Bill 538. This is a bill that's going to fundamentally change how high school coaches are valued and compensated across this state. 5 years of advocacy, 25 meetings in Tallahassee, countless Friday nights mentoring, talking to people. My first question to you, and then we'll get into the crux of all this, is as you watched that board yesterday, what was going through your mind?
Man, what was going through my mind? It was really more than anything else. It was me reflecting on how we got this organization started, why we got this organization started. And, it started in December of 21 when I was still in my role there in Brevard. And we had just had two football coaches leave the district, one going to Georgia in Derek Smith. And it just bothered me because I don't think too many individuals saw the long-term effects of having great coaches leave the county, what it would do not just for the schools, the communities, but more than anything else, the student athletes. And it just became a persistent problem in Florida, not just Brevard, where coaches would leave. And when you have so many coaches leaving on a yearly basis, it just causes so much just it just causes so many issues, right? And the ones that get affected the most are the kids, right? Your student athletes. And at that point I had gotten tired of it, and I know I was a school district employee and it's not good to speak up against certain things, but I just said enough is enough. So launched the coalition with a tweet, and here we are 5 years later after a late night tweet of anger, and we are 16,000 members strong here in the state, and we are one vote away now in the Florida House of Representatives, like you said, to change how our hardworking coaches, the men and women that pour so much into our student athletes, how they are paid and how they are respected here in Florida. So it feels great. But at the same time, as happy as I was yesterday, you always have to know you're not at the finish line just yet. We're on the
Correct.
goal line, Alan.
Yep.
And like I've been saying, we're not going to kick a field goal. We're about to punch this thing in, but we still have one vote left, and that vote should be coming here within the next 7 to 10 days. I believe tentatively it's on the schedule for this upcoming Thursday in the House, but that could be pushed back based on other circumstances. But it
And,
should be within the next 7 to 10 days.
and we'll get to Governor DeSantis in a minute, but he has publicly already come out, during a press conference a couple of months ago and stated his desire to see Florida coaches make more money. So I don't think a signature from him is going to be an issue at all. Dr. Ramjit, for those that are watching that may be a little confused or maybe even a new coach and they don't know what's going on, SB 538, it reads a couple of different things, but what is the crux of this bill?
Well, crux of the bill, one, it'll allow state athletic governing bodies, the SSAA, FHSAA, to implement their own policies when it comes to transfers and limiting the amount of times a student can transfer to play athletics. We've seen multiple instances of a kid going to one school to play football, another school for basketball, another school for track. Kids are literally transferring all over the state multiple seasons just to play sports. And then when you have kids that are leaving A and B schools to go to D schools just for the sake of sports, it's not good for the student, right? So that's one thing that it addresses is the transferring of students. But when it comes to compensation, this is huge. The bills, what they address, it allows school districts the autonomy to determine whether booster clubs can pay coaches. There's no limit in the bill to as far as what a coach can be paid by their booster club, which is huge. It also allows a superintendent and school board to deem athletic directors as school administrators. Brevard is one of those counties where your athletic directors, they are not considered administrators, right?
No.
However, these athletic directors are on campus more than anyone else in that school, right? 5 nights a week, on weekends, opening, closing. It's outrageous, yet they're not making any kind of money from that. So athletic directors would be able to
Be
be
paid like
paid.
athletic directors.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be athletic directors, right? Then outside of that, coaches could also be classified as administrators if that is what the school district and the superintendent would like to do. In that case, they would be able to negotiate their salaries directly with school districts. Now, we don't see too many school districts jumping on that bandwagon right away. But from conversations that we've been having all across the state, we've already had 10 of the 67 school districts come out and say, yes, we're working on new policy right now because we all know this bill is going to pass. It's just a matter of when and how fast it's going to be passed over the next few weeks. But school districts, you already have 10 of them on the board saying, yes, we're working on policy because our coaches deserve it. And here's the last piece, Alan. One thing that we've been hearing quite a bit are from the band directors, the club sponsors in your school districts. Guess what? This bill allows for them to be paid by booster clubs and support organizations as well if a school district allows it. And as happy as I know coaches have been all across the state, do you know the amount of messages I have been receiving from band directors? Because almost every single school in the state, not all, but almost every single one of them, they have band boosters, right? So
Yes.
these band directors are ecstatic about what's going to be happening for them as well.
Brevard County's got some of the best bands in the state. Heritage, Melbourne. And please, I'm not trying to exclude anybody, but I mean, we have some of the best marching bands in the state, and so this is going to be good stuff. Now, Dr. Ramjit, let me ask you this. Obviously, there are stipulations for coaches, like high school football head coaches, 1,500 hours annually, a projected 22.5 stipend based on about $15 per hour. But for a county like Brevard, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you would know this, where booster clubs aren't, you can't create a new booster club, right? So how would that work?
So here's where we are with that. So our original proposal and what we pushed in the legislature was for minimum wage for every single hour worked. The legislature, they looked into it. However, they came back and they said, well, we have a problem here. Coaching is not considered a separate profession. If it's not considered a profession in the state statutes, you can't mandate minimum wage.
Okay.
So they had to move away from that piece. However, when they looked at it, they said this is something we have to address right away. So, pertaining to your question about not being able to create booster clubs, this allows school districts to have that ability to create booster clubs if they're not created already. So that decision lies solely on school districts. And I think that's something great because now coaches, activity sponsors, band directors, etc., they're going to see what school districts care about them and what school districts want to compensate them for the work that they put in. And what's great as well, Alan, is there's so many communities, not just in Brevard, but across the state that want to support these coaches, right? There's so many athletes that have come out of Brevard that are now professional, that want to go back to their schools and they want to help contribute to a coach's salary.
Yeah.
Now they would have the ability to do it. The only thing that would be holding any of this up are the school districts. So that decision is going to lie solely on them,
Well,
which I
here
think is wonderful.
I agree, and here we go. This is going to be interesting in this particular county, just simply because of the policy that's already in place. It's a policy that's going to have to change in order for this to be able to do its job here, correct?
It would have to change. And, Brevard's not the only county. There's other counties that have policies in place that prevent booster clubs from doing certain things. But that's a great thing about this bill. It allows for it. And it's written there clearly, and it's going to be signed there by the governor that
Get it
school
done.
district, you have the ability now to allow your coaches to be compensated directly from booster clubs and support organizations.
That's great.
Now,
That
now, right off the bat, and this is just being honest and this is being clear, not every coach is going to benefit right away because they might be in a smaller community that does not have that booster club set up. But guess what? When Georgia did this, when Texas did this, they had to start somewhere,
yes,
right? So although not everyone is going to be seeing the fruits of this right away, you give it 2 years, you give it 3 years, you give coaches the time and the ability to build up booster clubs. You allow these community members, community organizations, businesses to help start building up these booster clubs, and the results that you're going to get from it are going to be outstanding, right?
You
So
go
go
ahead.
ahead, Alan.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and there might be some smaller schools out there in Brevard that right now they don't have much of booster support, right? Your Edgewaters of the world, not actually not Edgewater,
Edgewood.
Edgewood. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But you have
Yeah,
your
yeah,
Edgewood, you have your Space Coast, right? But at the same time, you have your schools that have some of the most outstanding booster clubs in the state. You have Satellite, you have Melbourne, you have Vieira, Coco. These schools would be able to just benefit right away. And it's not just your football coaches, right? Like I said earlier, football runs everything here in the state, but your basketball club, your basketball team, baseball, softball, bowling, tennis, you name it, they'll be able to benefit as well.
yeah. This is going to be terrific. And coach, coach, Dr. Ramjit. Well, you were a coach. These coaches have, when you break down their hours, and I love this. I love this statistic. $3 an hour is not that's not a made up number. That's a real number that these coaches, a lot of these coaches, have made throughout the course of their careers while doing what they love to do. Dr. Ramsey, you described this as a heavy, tough grind, which anytime you have to go through a political process, it is. What was the toughest part of this process for you, for the Florida Coaches Coalition?
So the toughest process for me, Alan. So we're a non-dues charging organization, right? We don't charge coaches a penny for any of the services that we provide to them. To be able to get in front of sponsors to basically let them know what it is that we do, and to get that financial support and backing from those organizations, that's always been the hardest piece. But after a few years of doing this and hundreds of no's, you kind of get accustomed to it, and you just get used to that grind, and you fall in love with the grind and everything that comes with it. And, just a big shout out to some of the sponsors we have on board now. And we have some great sponsors in the form of Dave and Buster's, Raising Cane's Chicken, Baker's Sporting Goods. Like, we have some great sponsors that really help support what we're doing here with the coalition, because the goal has always been to really support our coaches here in Florida. And one thing that I would never have wanted to do is charge a coach a single penny in dues if they aren't even making any money, right? We
Right.
know, and you just gave that statistic about $3 an hour. That's most head coaches.
Yep.
Not too many people focus in on those assistants. I was
Nope.
a lifelong assistant. I didn't want to be a head coach because I didn't want to put in more work for less money, but our assistant coaches put in just so many hours, and they do a lot of the legwork for the head coaches, and their pay is terrible as well. And this bill helps to have our assistant coaches be paid as well, which is amazing because they put in a lot of work. And I
Yeah.
think, it's time that our assistant coaches get the recognition and the compensation they deserve as well.
Dr. Ramjit, in given that there's so much political harmony in today's world, I mean, you just see both sides of the
Harmony.
you listen, get along so well, right? The one of the most remarkable things to me looking at this, and of course I'm being facetious here, but a 38 nothing bipartisan vote, Rare. How were you able to focus on the coaches and not the politics in this?
By telling stories, by letting our legislators hear firsthand directly from coaches. What we do, Alan, is we bring our coaches directly to the decision makers that vote on these policies, that build out these policies. Last Tuesday, 2 days ago, excuse me, Wednesday, 2 days ago, we were up in Tallahassee. We brought coaches along with us, and we were, joined by Chris Carter, NFL Hall of Famer. We were joined by Jimbo Fisher, former Florida State head coach. And we went around 25 different meetings, Alan, with House members, Senate members, just really telling the stories that they do not get to hear on an everyday basis. And there was not a single legislator that wasn't blown away by the stories that they heard. Last year, our focus was sharing those stories with the majority in the House and the Senate, which are the Republican caucus. This year, the focus was to get in front of the Democratic caucus. And when we were able to get in front of them and we were able to tell their stories, you have no idea how many of them looked at us and said, "Wow, I had no idea that they got paid this low." And their mouths would hit the floor.
What
So just being able to share these stories and to get in front of them, that's the main ingredient of what it takes to get this done. Is from
I
them hearing from those individuals that are living this on a daily basis.
I want to give some credit here to our coaches locally as well that made the trip. You know, over the summer we saw Ryan Schneider make the trip up to Tallahassee. Ben Waldrop has been just a tremendous. Ben and I were supposed to do an interview about the FCC a couple of months ago, just because of everything going on with Caleb at the time. It just was unable to happen. But you know, I don't think people understand, you know, that these guys are pretty busy guys, and to make that trip and to take their time and to do these things. Was there anybody else here locally I missed?
Um, well, first, shout out to Ben. Ben is our Central East regional director, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, one thing that when we were looking to expand the coalition, and we really knew that we had a short timeline of really getting any kind of policy change implemented on a state level, we split the state up into 8 different regions, and Ben is over one of the largest regions here in the state. And I knew I had to bring in someone that was not just respected by coaches, but someone that was respected on a community level as well. And you look at someone like Ben, who's amazing. I mean, outside of being a head coach out there and, you know, an assistant right now over at Astronaut, but everything that he's done in the community. I mean, Ben, there was no one better to bring into that role. And Ben has completely excelled in the role, and the way he communicates, gets information out there to coaches. So just shout out to Ben and everything that he's doing. But outside of Coach Schneider, we also had Coach Kintai, who's now the AD over at Coco. He joined us out there. We had the AD over at Astronaut, Matt. He joined us out there. And honestly, there's just so many coaches that support, maybe not directly in front of legislators, but sending emails, sending phone calls, making phone calls, excuse me. I mean, there's just so much support that has come out of Brevard, and I'm completely thankful for it. And I think the coaches out there know that just in my time there, it was always about fighting and advocating for them, right? And before I came on here, I received a few text messages from coaches that saw the post that I was going to be on that thanked me for, you know, just fighting and advocating on their behalf. And it feels good, you know, just to know
Yeah.
that, you know, you're still remembered for the work that you did. And although I may not have been there for a very long time, because 3 years is not long by any means, but the time I was there, you know, I'm glad I was able to make just even a small impact in some of their lives.
I want to ask you this because, listen, Florida coaches, they juggle classrooms, practices, games, all of it, family life. And a lot of times, a lot of these guys also have two jobs.
Yep.
Beyond the compensation part, what does this bill represent for them beyond compensation?
Besides compensation, you know, Alan, I think what it shows is there is a certain amount of respect that they're going to get now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've worked in a few counties, and one thing that is prevalent and you see everywhere is the lack of respect that our coaches get, you know, not just from school administrators. Sometimes it's by the parents of their players, right? And my kid needs to play more, you know, and all kinds of things, you know, just coaches were not given the amount of respect that they truly deserved. And I think this bill shows that coaches will get that respect. And Alan, you know, one thing we haven't touched on is this is just the start.
Yep.
This is the first year of a multi-year implementation process to make sure that Florida coaches are not just compensated well, not just respected, but are given the support that they deserve, the professional development that they deserve to become better in the profession. There's so many youth guys that want to get into the profession, right? They're going to be able to tap into some of these resources if they want to jump into the high school level. I mean, what is coming down the pipeline, Alan,
Right.
is amazing. And if you would have asked me 5 years ago if all of this would have been coming, I probably would have said no. We're still a decade away. The fact that it's happened as fast as it has, it just shows just what the coalition has been able to do, and it shows that coaches truly do matter here in Florida. We just had to get in front of the right people to make our voices heard.
If you had to create a general manager job at the college level now, right, which you do for everything that's going on, with all of the times that are changing and the way that they're changing, I can foresee a day where a coach has to reach certain mandates here in the state. You got to be a head coach for 5 years. That's a probationary period. But there should ultimately become a point when you have guys that do this for 10, 15, and 20 years, you damn right they're professional coaches. So I would love to see an opportunity where these guys are considered professional. You were talking about the minimum wage thing there. I would love to see it on the books one day in Tallahassee, where these high school coach, somebody like Angie Patrick, Greg Claiborne, you're gonna tell me they're not professional coaches?
Oh no, they're professional, and I don't want to give a spoiler alert, but it's coming. We just
Okay.
have to be patient for it, right?
All right. All right. All right.
And we talk about a guy like Greg, and Greg is, Greg. I look at Greg in my time there in Brevard the same way I look at Jeff McClain. Like those guys are just legends in their communities, and everything that they have done in their communities, for them not to be recognized as professionals, right? And to only be recognized as a supplement, that needs to change. But these guys, for the work that they do, man, they certainly do not currently get that recognition that they deserve. And this is what that bill helps to fix, is to give guys that have been in this grind for decades, it gives them respect. And and just shout out to Greg, and shout out to Coach Patrick, and just shout out to just all those coaches in Brevard that have been in this grind for years.
Yeah. Listen, it's crazy. Bobby Collins, down at O'Galley. It's really quite remarkable what they do. Oh, and by the way, with the way that college is changing, you could probably also, and I don't mean this in a negative connotation, but you could probably also add the job title agent to their job description as well, because now they're not just sending kids or student athletes off to get educations anymore. Some of these student athletes that these coaches are helping these days will now be taking a step to earn life-changing money as well, Dr. Ramjit. So there's that to consider as well for a lot of these high school coaches, especially in a state like Florida, where football, volleyball, so often, so many P4 D1 schools are constantly in this state recruiting. So you could probably add agent to their job title too.
No, 100%. And man, you know what else you could add to their job title? Therapist, mentor.
Right.
I mean, coaches, and I don't think the general public realizes this, just everything that goes into coaching, right? You're just not there 2 hours after school. I mean, the amount of time that you have to dedicate to this, the amount of hats that you wear when it comes to recruitment, community, just relations. I mean, dealing with a school administration, dealing with parents that don't understand. I mean, there's just so many different hats that
No.
men and women have to wear,
Parents
right? So,
understand.
so I'm glad that this. Oh,
Yeah. Look,
I'm glad that this bill finally allows for, there's these hardworking men and women to just finally get the recognition and compensation they deserve.
Look, I saw the other night I did a lacrosse game at Merritt Island, and after the game was over, I was sitting in the parking lot for 2 hours writing a story about Holy Trinity Soccer winning a state championship. And as I watched in that parking lot for an hour and a half to 2 hours after that lacrosse, I was watching Tom Finney drive around, the athletic director at Merritt Island, drive around the golf cart and shut everything down. And this is 10 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I thought, man, this guy does this every night. These athletic directors do this every night. And it's just crazy to me. Let me ask you this. Listen, you've had an opportunity to visit Tallahassee on numerous occasions. As the director of the Florida Coaches Coalition, this carries your leadership imprint. It's got it all over it. What has this journey taught you about leadership, persistence, and advocacy?
Leadership, persistence, and advocacy. I think what this really taught me is more than anything else is just to really truly believe in yourself, right? When, I launched this, there was just one supporter who was myself. To be able to build this organization from the ground up and to be able to achieve so much in such a little time really truly showed me that sometimes you really do have to bet on yourself. And sometimes, if you're willing to put in that work and you are willing to be persistent, you'll be able to achieve your goals. More so than anything else, when it comes to advocacy, Alan, you're not going to make everybody happy. As soon as we started coming out and, publicly saying, pay FL coaches, right? We need to pay our Florida coaches more. There were tens of hundreds of teachers that were just upset, right? That, hey, teachers deserve to be paid first. That was the big thing we heard. But one thing about advocacy, Alan, is you can't make everyone happy. If I wanted to make everyone happy, I'd be selling cupcakes and muffins for a living. But I'm not, right? So it's the truth.
No,
You
no, you're
can't
right.
make everyone happy.
And I don't even think that would make everybody happy.
And I think, Mike, just either that wouldn't make everyone happy either. Even if you're selling ice cream, they're gonna, challenge you. Why are you selling chocolate and not vanilla?
Right.
So younger me, just having time to reflect on this whole journey here, younger me, it was really just trying to make everyone happy. But now that I've been able to do this and I've been able to see, so many differing opinions firsthand, what I realize is you can't make everyone happy, and it's okay if you can't make everyone happy. That's not the purpose of advocating on behalf of these coaches. The purpose of advocating for these coaches is to do right by them.
Right.
And as long as I continue to do right by them, then it's a job well done.
I got one or two more for you here, and I appreciate you taking this amount of time with us here on Brevard Sports Network. I'm gonna give Brevard County some credit because it's where you were before you went and got this done. So this question pertains to that. What did you learn about your experience here as the head athletic director that helped you with this? Because obviously what you saw and what you learned as the head athletic director in this county really got the wheels turning.
Yeah, and there's a few things that I learned. Really, it's just really how to manage different personalities, right? And how to communicate with different personalities. Matt Susan used to say being in a room full of athletic directors is like being in a room full of Mongolian warlords, right? That was Matt's line, and he wasn't lying. That's truly what it was like sometimes because there's so many differing opinions in there, and the way you speak to everyone, it has to be a little different, right? So just being able to learn how to communicate better, right? So just when I'm in front of different folks, right, in the legislature, if I'm in front of a Republican or Democrat, you learn, just talking points, right? You learn about how you approach them, how you talk to them, right? So communication's one, and if there's something else that I could throw in there, it's really more so than anything else. One thing that I always tried my best to do with our athletic directors is I saw firsthand how burnt out a lot of them were, and just how much work they really truly put in. And it still bugs me till today. Just the story you just told about Tom Finney. He's closing up at 10. He's not getting home till about 10:45, 11 o'clock. He's not in bed until midnight, and he's up probably 5:30 in the morning getting ready for the next day just to do it all over again. And to
Yep.
be able to do that year after year, day after day, right? One thing that I tried my best to do with our athletic directors, and I've carried into my role now, is just to always give credit where credit's deserved, and to always just really, more than anything else, just let someone know that they're appreciated, because just letting someone know how much they may mean to the organization, it goes a long way. It really does, Alan. So
You,
I'd say those two things.
that's awesome. That is a terrific answer. So you said that this bill would likely go on, tentatively maybe Thursday. What still has to happen between now and the one more vote to making sure that this gets through?
Well, so just give you a little backstory on the House bill. So before it went to before it's going now to a full House vote, it had to go through three different committees. Each committee passed this unanimously. So it is our full expectation that when that bill is presented, it's going to be passed unanimously. But what has to happen? Uh, I think, just to be honest here, and not to be too cocky here, I think all the legwork has been done. I think now is the time where our coaches all across the state can sit back and just say to themselves, "Wow, this is really happening." I think that's the big piece, is just to take it all in, because the way high school athletics has been perceived in Florida, and the way our coaches have been paid, respected, the way they've been treated, it's going to change. And I couldn't be happier to have played a part in this. And one thing that always does bother me, Alan, is when I meet with our older coaches in the state, the guys that have been retired, the guys in their 70s and 80s, those guys that had to work through
Yeah.
this system, right? These guys that will not be able to see the fruits of their labor, they're not going to be able to be compensated. My heart goes out to those guys. But
Yeah.
our job, Alan, is to always try to leave our jobs, our profession, in a better condition than we had previously found it. And I think more than anything else, these guys are happy for these coaches coming up now, that they'll be able to get the respect that they've earned that they were not able to get when they were still coaching.
Let me ask one question for the parents here. I joke about the parents a lot, and I joke with the parents about the parents a lot, but this conversation is obviously and deservedly so centered on the coaches, but the ripple effect touches student athletes as well. How does this how does this directly impact the student athletes?
Well, I would say the big thing here is you'll see more coaches staying in their jobs, because now they'll be compensated as if they were professionals, right? So you're
Right.
not going to have to worry about finding a new coach every single year. Your coaches are going to be there. They're going to stick around. And that consistency, it just plays a big part in a lot of things when it comes to development, when it comes to recruitment. One thing, Alan, we're having a football clinic next week, and we have all 9 Division I head coaches in the state. They're going to be there with their staffs. That's huge. And the reason that they're going to be out there with their staff, sorry, my alarm's going off. But
Okay.
the reason that they're going to be out there with their staffs is they want to start building these relationships again. And they know that coaches in Florida, now that coaches are going to start getting paid, they're not going to have to worry about building a new relationship every single year. They will be able to just be able to deal with that same coaching staff on a year by year basis. And that's huge for our kids, especially now living in the NIL world. Alan, you want that consistency in your program so that your child has that opportunity to play at the collegiate level.
I agree, and I like the transfer part of this bill as well. Parents, I encourage you to study that. Final thing for you here, and this is it right here. Listen, there are a lot of people that are going to watch this that thought this day would never come. Maybe yourself as well. If you could speak directly to every person that thought this day would never come, the ones that do the weight rooms at 6 a.m., teaching all day, coaching under the lights, what would you say to them right now?
What would I say to them right
You're
now
looking
is,
right at them. What are you going to say to them?
oh, if I was looking right out
Right
at them,
now, what are you telling them?
told you so.
I love it. You know what? That's what I always loved about you, man. You too were pretty direct.
Always direct. And the one thing that I would also tell coaches, and this is the big thing that I've heard, so many coaches have said, well, yeah, you know what, that's great, but it's never going to happen in my school district. My school district would never do this. Well, guess what? We already have 10 on the board, and we have a plan for those other 57 school districts that have yet to commit to this. The
Yeah.
same way we were able to get this legislation passed and no one thought that it was possible, we have a plan. So I
You
would
you
ask for the patience of the coaches out there because trust me, we have a plan. And within a year, we see more than half our school districts in the state adapting.
you couldn't get there without being here. Dr. Andrew Ramjit, director of the Florida Coaches Coalition, one vote away from what will be a historic change for coaches across this state. We'll be following SB 538. Dr. Ramjit, thank you for all that you've done for coaches, for us, and thanks for coming on here today.
Couldn't, Alan, man, thank you so much. It's always great to reconnect with you and with the community. And on a parting note to anyone that's watching this, when you're done watching it, shoot a text message to a coach, give a coach a call, and just say thank you because that's something they don't hear enough.
Is there anything we didn't touch on? I want to make sure we got everything. Is there anything we didn't hit that you wanted to make sure that was talked about? Or I think we covered it pretty good.
No, I think we hit all the points. I think this interview, I'm just so thankful for you allowing me on the platform. I think it'll help clarify a lot of questions that folks might have. So,
Yep, there you go.
again,
Well,
thank you so much for that.
absolutely, man. Listen, have a great time. Tell your family hello. Have a great day. Tell your family hello. And again, thank you for all that you do. And thank you to all of you out there for tuning in here on a Friday afternoon. For Dr. Andrew Ramjit, I'm Alan Slaughterzinski.